Running a business means taking care of a million things, and one of those most important things, but often neglected, is having an online presence. You need a website. Today I have two guests with me. One is an expert web developer, and the other runs her business entirely from her website. Kathleen Dwyer is the owner of KCD Web Services, and Lisa Gillum is the owner of themusicclassroom.com. Welcome to you both.
Thank you so much.
Kathleen, I'll start with you. What does a website do for a business?
Well, I think at the basic level, it lets people know you're a going concern, number one. And I think you can also start building that trust relationship if people want to do business with you, and you can start that process.
How influential is a website in determining sales?
If you have a website that's outdated and content is not updated, it can be negatively influence sales because people are going to go someplace else. If you have a place where people can do business right away and can book appointments right away and not have to wait, and you look better than your competition, it can be very positive, I think.
Now, Lisa, tell me a little bit about your business and how it's helped you running it entirely online.
Well, I develop songs and curriculum materials for primary and elementary music teachers, and my market is a global market. So being online is absolutely critical for me. So when I reach out to teachers, and of course that's important too because they have to be able to find the website to begin with. So when I reach out to them and they find me online, I have to be able to communicate effectively with them immediately what it is I do and how I do it and why I possibly do it better than somebody else and why they should sign up with me.
So how has it affected overall how you run your business?
Oh, it's the operating a business online is very different than having a business where you go to an office every day and you're dealing with people face to face. Your online presence has to be very clear. Your wording has to be clear. People have to be able to get a feel for who you are as a person and as a company, and it all has to be done right there in words and pictures and video and whatnot. So you have to be very careful about your messaging and how you present yourself.
Is it more work than the face-to-face kind of operation?
No, I wouldn't say it's more work. It's just very different. Your efforts are placed in different areas, So if you have a business where you are actually meeting people and shaking their hands and talking to them and having a conversation about your business, that's very different than how you are going to communicate with people who you don't actually speak to. There's no there's no physical presence, there's no body language, and no reaction to their questions. So you kind of have to anticipate what kind of questions they're going to have for you and try to answer as many of those for them.
We have social media channels. There's many of them. If there's social media, and many businesses are accessing those and using that, do you need a website if you have access to all these other resources?
For sure. I think social media is a great auxiliary tool to your website, but your branding is limited. You can, there's only so much you can do on Facebook. But I think the most important thing that people don't realize is that you don't own your Facebook page. So your Facebook can decide to change their structure, can decide to shut you down, can do all of that type of stuff. So if you don't own it, it's a big risk, I think, for business. It's great for hobbyists and, that type of thing, but for a legitimate business, I think you need to have a website that works with your social media channels because that's also very valuable. But your core online identity should be through something you own and control, which would be your website.
Kathy's making a good point about the changing face of the profiles, because our business pages looked a certain way for, maybe a year or two, and then all of a sudden Facebook can change the actual format of that page. So what the customer looks at can be very different from one month to the next. So I wouldn't recommend relying completely on Facebook, but you wouldn't. I think everybody should have a Facebook page in addition
or
to
some social media channel that works best for them.
So do you use social media to direct people to your website or vice versa, or how do you work that?
Currently, basically my entire focus right now is social media, trying to drive people to the website because people don't know who I am, they don't know the company yet. So I have to generate an awareness of my company and my brand. So my job is to find out where my customers are, where they hang out online, and to find the best way to connect with them. So it turns out for me, there's this other site called teacherspayteachers.com where there are millions of teachers looking on a daily basis for curriculum materials, which is exactly what I develop. So my strategy has been to actually access the teachers through Teachers Pay Teachers, and when they buy my products, they're all branded with the musicclassroom.com. So I've actually made more sales on Teachers Pay Teachers because that's where I've been focusing my attention, because that's where the teachers are.
The audience is.
Right. And so I will develop my audience there, and then they will only naturally move over to the website and our subscription service because they're getting everything that's branded with the music.
So it's a good way to build your brand recognition. I assume over time you'd have to evolve your social media strategy along with your website. That's just good business practice. But say if someone has a website or hasn't even developed a website, where do you start and how do you evolve? You talked about, you can't have a site that's dated because that'll hurt your business.
I think the first step is to figure out what you want to accomplish with your site. So whether that's to sell a product or whether it's to share information, being really specific about what do you want to accomplish. And the second thing is, who is it you're talking to? So then as you develop your content, as you develop your website design, as you find your domain name, everything is geared towards those two goals.
What about sites like or services like Wix and even WordPress? WordPress is used by a lot of things, but I would assume that you have to have a certain skill set. But these free access sites, are they helpful or not?
Oh, I think they're very helpful for people who, like I say, are hobbyists or people who have no budget. But it's a do-it-yourself site, and it will always look like a do-it-yourself site. So if you don't think that your customer, if that's going to matter to your customers, then I think it's a great alternative, But if it's going to matter to your customers, if professionalism matters, if having something that's really polished matters, it's not an alternative. They display ads on there. You can't have a custom domain a lot of times. And once you start moving up to the paid versions of those, they're as expensive as having your own site. So, but I do think there's value for people who just need to get started and want to get up quick and have very low technical knowledge. And
Lisa, what advice would you give somebody who wants to run an online business or business entirely from a website?
I think if you're running your business entirely from your website, chances are you're selling something online. So you have a reason for being online. I have another website where the website is just simply informational. So that website is going to look very different from my music education curriculum service. So basically what you need to do is you need to look at all of the things that you're delivering to those people and how are you selling it. Are you going to have a subscription service? Are you going to have a storefront? What are all the tools that you need to make that site function? So I would suggest working with somebody like Kathy to come up with a plan, an overall plan of how you need that site to look eventually. Then look at all the pieces that are required to put that site together and then start working backwards from there. And which pieces need to be done first and what tools you need to get it done.
Kathy, one final question. I think people, when they think websites and hiring consultants, they think expense. What advice would you give people? Should people think that a website is always expensive?
No, I think most people that do what I do have a range of packages and a range of plans. And if you have a budget to say, this is my budget, and I can either direct you or someone else will direct you to where you go, or you just kind of, start off small with less features or less functionality, excuse me, and then build from there. So I think, I won't say it's for any budget. If you have no budget, then you're going to have to look at, you're going to have to take it on yourself.
Or stick with the social media stuff that's
right.
free and build your
right.
client base so you can afford it. Yeah.
That's right. But if you have a small budget, there are lots of alternatives. That's the beauty of now. There's alternatives for everything. You just may need to do a little bit of research and go from there.
Get your planning in
Get
order.
your planning in order, yeah.
Well, thank you both for talking to me about websites today.
Oh, you're welcome.
Thank you for having us.